Welcome back to the Explainer. Let's just dive right in, because we're stepping directly into the absolute climax of the cosmic succession crisis. We're picking up the story at the exact minute the hidden prince of the gods, Zeus, finally steps out of the shadows to challenge the ruling order of the universe. This right here is the spark that ignites the ultimate divine war.
I want you to really picture the cinematic tension of this moment. We're deep inside the colossal, megalithic feast hall of Mount Othrys. The massive, armored titans are just lounging around on these giant stone couches in complete decadence, right? They have this absolute, unshakable certainty that their reign is unbreakable. They are completely oblivious to the fact that the prophecy they fear most is walking right past their massive legs. Zeus, looking like a young, athletic god disguised in really humble garments, is acting as a royal cupbearer. He's moving quietly through the deep, volumetric shadows of his father's palace, and he's carrying a heavy, glowing golden chalice. But it's not filled with sweet nectar. Oh no, it's packed with a potent, regime-ending secret.
Section 1. The Cupbearer's Deception.
To understand how Zeus planned to topple an all-powerful god from the inside out, we need to look closely at the weapon he actually carried in his hands. Notice the term here, pharmakon. He didn't bring a sword or a spear. He brought a harsh, mystical emetic. This was a literal magical drug concocted from honey, mustard, and primal herbs, explicitly designed to force an immortal body to purge. This seemingly small cup of laced honeyed wine was the precise catalyst that would rewrite the entire Greek universe.
And this brilliantly illustrates the ancient logic behind the narrative. Zeus didn't pull this off alone. It was Metis, the Titaness who literally embodied cunning intelligence, who orchestrated this ultimate deception. As the mythographer Apollodorus tells us, she provided the very drug needed for the job. It's a perfect example of how, in Greek myth, raw power is constantly being undermined by strategy and intellect. Brains over brawn, every time.
Section 2. The Poisoned Nectar.
Let's move up to the throne of the Titan King himself and see how this trap finally springs shut. Cronus, who is aggressive, arrogant, and entirely unsuspecting, grabs the goblet from the disguised Zeus. He just downs the draft in a single gulp and wipes his mouth with his absolute satisfaction. You see, the very appetite that made Cronus a tyrant in the first place, his compulsive, unthinking need to consume any potential threat, and frankly his complete lack of chewing, is exactly what undoes him here.
You can practically feel the sheer visceral violence about to erupt from Cronus' immortal body as the poison takes hold. For a heartbeat, the massive, boisterous hall falls entirely still. Then you hear the heavy metallic chalice drop and violently clatter against the stone floor. Cronus' rugged, battle-scarred skin suddenly pales, and his dark, ruthless golden eyes widen in pure shock and terror as this divine agony absolutely tears at his insides.
Section 3. The Great Emancipation.
So here is the ultimate, explosive reversal of the Titan's most monstrous act. Because Cronus swallowed them in a specific order, he vomits them up in reverse. First, crashing to the marble floor, comes the massive Omphalos stone that deceived him. Then, accompanied by blinding bursts of raw divine light, out come the siblings. And they don't emerge as helpless infants, oh no, they burst out as fully grown, terribly powerful deities fueled by centuries of trapped fury. Poseidon materializes with a roaring aura of water. Hades is wrapped in crackling spectral shadows, standing right alongside Hera, Demeter, and Hestia. For the first time in an eternity, Cronus looks into the eyes of his children, and he is terrified.
Section 4. The Omphalos Relic.
Before we flee Mount Othrys with our newly liberated gods, let's just pause for a second and look at the physical legacy of this exact moment. Because this is why this story matters to the people of the time. That heavy stone, the decoy wrapped in swaddling clothes by Rhea, didn't just disappear into myth. That very stone became one of the holiest relics in all of ancient Greece. Known as the Omphalos, it sat at the Oracle of Delphi, marking the literal navel, or center, of the known world. As the 2nd century traveler Pausanias noted, this stone stood at Delphi as permanent, material proof. The Greeks anointed it with oil daily and wrapped it in unworked wool during festivals. It was a physical reminder, sitting right in the center of their world, that the current cosmic order was built entirely on a mother's cunning trick, and a father who was simply too hungry to look closely at what he was eating.
Section 5. The Sibling Alliance.
Back in the feast hall, the initial shock wears off pretty fast. The Titans awaken in an absolute fury and start drawing their heavy obsidian blades. To cover a chaotic retreat, Zeus summons blinding flashes of raw electrical energy to blind the Titan court. Amidst this explosive divine energy, the 6 children of Cronus stand united for the very first time. They flee the shadowed halls of Othrys to the towering peak of Mount Olympus, forging a desperate but unbreakable bond that will literally shape the rest of history.
The crucial takeaway you should get from this is the unique dynamic of this new alliance. Their loyalty to Zeus wasn't just some political arrangement, it was entirely existential. He literally gave them their lives back, freeing them from centuries of dark imprisonment. In the strict logic of this mythology, even though Zeus was chronologically the youngest sibling, the savior permanently outranks the saved. This solitary act cements his eternal role as their undisputed absolute leader.
Section 6. The Gathering Storm.
Their miraculous escape sets the stage for a 10-year conflict of apocalyptic violence that is going to reshape the physical and moral structure of the entire universe. The battle lines are immediately drawn. Mount Othrys remains the fortress of the old Titan regime, while Mount Olympus becomes the towering stronghold of the new Olympians. And right smack in the middle, the fertile agricultural heartland of the Thessalian plain becomes a cosmic no-man's land where these two massively powerful factions are going to repeatedly clash.
For a full decade, they fight to an absolute grinding standstill. The earth is literally scorched, the skies are torn apart, but neither side can gain the upper hand. The Titans were no pushovers. They were ancient powers deeply entrenched in the fabric of the cosmos. By year 10, Zeus realizes he just can't win with only his siblings. To break this deadlock stalemate, he has to venture into Tartarus, the darkest, most terrifying, lightless prison beneath the earth, to secure some new allies. Deep in the abyss, Zeus frees the Cyclopes and the 100-handers. These are monstrous, incredibly powerful beings who had been imprisoned by Uranus and Cronus. And in immense gratitude, the Cyclopes forged the ultimate weapons of mass destruction. The thunderbolt for Zeus, the earth-shaking trident for Poseidon, and the helm of darkness for Hades. Combined with the brute strength of the 100-handers, who could hurl 300 mountains at once, this new arsenal shifts the balance of power permanently. It's a total game changer.
The war ends with terrifying finality. Zeus's relentless lightning and the barrage from the 100-handers completely shatter the Titan defenses. The defeated Titans are dragged down and cast into the very same lightless pit of Tartarus where they had once imprisoned their monstrous brothers. It's a profound, tragic cycle of mythological violence, really. One set of prisoners is simply replaced by another, sealing the old gods in complete eternal silence.
So, the 10-year cosmic war is over, and the Olympians have officially claimed the universe. But as we look ahead, we really have to wonder. Gaia, the primordial Earth herself, is absolutely enraged that her Titan children have been locked away in the dark. So what final apocalyptic horror is she quietly gestating in the shadows to tear down Zeus's newly won throne? Can the Olympians truly survive the vengeance of the Earth itself? Well, we'll have to explore that in our next explainer.